Welcome to Meet the Musicians, powered in part by Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Meet the Musicians. In the studio is somebody I am super, super excited to get to sit down and chat with. We've got the one and only Jon Christopher Davis. How's it going, man? The crowd goes wild.
It's going great, thank you.
Man, I'm super excited to get you in the studio. You've got a big connection to Denton just next door that we'll go into here in a bit.
Sure.
But before we get into all of that, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm not going to ask you your genre or anything, because I know everybody hates that question. But
I don't.
But describe your music a little for us, for anybody that hasn't heard of you.
Today we'd be called Americana.
Okay.
If you grew up in the 70s, just rock and roll.
Okay.
But, just straight ahead meat and potatoes rock and roll is kind of hard to find on mainstream radio these days. So if you're a little country, if you're a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of blues, they just neatly package it as Americana.
I like it.
To me, like, is it good music or bad music? That's all that matters to me. And hopefully I fall in the good department.
Well, I think you definitely fall in the category of good music. And I think of all of the artists that I get to work with, you're definitely in the top tier of live performances for sure.
Thank you.
You're one of the artists that you could be full band, you could be solo, it could rain, and you could go, okay, guys, we're only three of us can do it today, or whatever, and it's still going to be a rockin' show. You really can capture a crowd.
Well, thank you for saying that, and no one's ever accused me of hating my job.
Yeah.
I like it, man.
Very
it's
cool.
Great. Keeps me young.
I love it. Yeah. So where did you get started?
Well, I'm from a little town a couple hours north of here called Bonham, which is like the Texas-Oklahoma border. Mm-hmm. And it has unfortunately, a rundown square, unlike where we're at today. But there's really nothing to do in Bonham, Texas, but chase chicks and play your guitar. That's kind of it, man. So it's like I married my high school sweetheart, and I'm still playing the same guitar.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then I moved to Dallas. I thought, oh man, this is how you make it in music.
Sure,
you got to go to the big city,
right?
And I started playing in cover bands. It was a great education. Great education. I played as a bass player, guitar player, keyboard player, percussion player, background singer, lead singer, just kind of wearing all the hats. And I did that for many, many years. And fast forward, I moved to Nashville. I got my first publishing deal. Then that led to the first record deal. And things kind of happened from there. And I kind of caught the tail end of the glory years of Nashville before the music business took a nosedive.
Sure.
As far as, it was back when people started buying records.
Yeah.
And way before Spotify and Pandora and all that kind of stuff. But it was good. It's great another great education. Mm-hmm. The bar business. And then learning how to write songs and make records. And then I moved back home. I now live in McKinney.
So just down the road.
Just down the road. Although you wouldn't think so on 380. There's no. I need a helicopter to get from McKinney. Like, what the heck? It only says 20-something miles. It's like, no. But and I came back home and just kind of did my own independent thing, and so far it's working out really, really well.
Very cool.
It's like getting away with a crime. We'll see how much longer I can get away with it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, again, you put on a great, great show. Anybody that's ever seen you is instantly a fan. You've got a really cool thing going on. And you have, like I said before, a very cool connection to the building right next door to us, LSA Burger. Mm-hmm. Go into the story a little bit on that and your connection to this really cool gym of downtown Denton.
Well, I cannot take credit for it whatsoever. I just wrote a song called Lone Star Attitude, and then I printed out some T-shirts and just merch, swag. And it's like people started buying the heck out of the merchandise. And my manager at the time said, you might want to think about like trademarking that. And I'm like, huh? Why? Why would I do that? It's like, well, I mean, maybe you should look at it like it's the little brother of Don't Mess with Texas. I'm like, well, you might be onto something there, Skipper. So I
cool.
trademarked it. And then I ran into Sparky Pearson, who's truly the brains behind the whole thing. I mean, make no mistake, that guy did all the heavy lifting. I just came up with a cool name. It would be like no different than I just happened to own the words House of Blues. I didn't build the House of Blues. The word. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give credit where it's due. It's really him. And I was just lucky enough to he thought, well, that'd be a pretty cool name for a burger joint. And I said, well, if you're going to do that, then, here's an idea. What if we try to tip our hat to the history of Texas music? I said, I haven't seen that done before, and I'm a big music nerd, and I thought, man, Texas rivals anybody when it comes to the arts, especially in music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just seems like it would work. I mean, and the food speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It's good, man.
Pretty darn good food.
But when you can tie it to a pretty cool story, it just kind of makes the experience a little bit more richer, in my opinion. So that's how that came to be, and I still kind of pinch myself when I don't play here too often, but when I do, it's pretty surreal walking and going, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is a little crazy."
It's very cool.
And then to hear my voice in the restrooms, which I call the bathroom classroom.
Yes, if any of y'all have ever gone to the restroom in LSA and you get that education, this is the guy. If you recognize that voice.
Oh yeah, hick and all. So that's great. It's fun. It's just, but hopefully it's an encouragement to any musician out there that anything can happen. A big old burger joint can happen based off of a song title.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's just lucky, man, and I work hard at it. There's no doubt about that. But it's the old cliche, when elbow grease meets opportunity, and that's kind of it.
That's cool.
And try to be a likable dude.
Well,
that helps too.
You're very much that. So give us the origin story of the Lone Star Attitude song, where that came from.
I think I had not moved back from Nashville, but I was in Texas for the holidays. I can't remember. I'm going to call it 2002, three, something like that. And I was invited to go play at Green Hall, south of Austin, and which is the oldest dance hall in Texas. I mean, it's the mother church of venues to play in Texas. Yeah. It's our Grand Ole Opry, really. And I was with a guy named Hal Ketchum, and I'm like, and let me set this up correctly. There is no band. I'm up there with an acoustic guitar playing in a dance hall. And I'm like, I cannot have zero rhythm from my waist down. It's all up. So I'm like, I better write something that I think they can dance to. So the night before, I picked up my father-in-law's acoustic guitar, came up with 3 chords and some silly words, and next thing you know, they just kind of fell into place. I mean, cool. Kind of like the best things in life. It's like, that's a big lesson for everyone to learn. It's like sometimes the best things are the things you're not even trying. Yeah, it just happens.
It's cool.
And in that case, I was not trying. And if you listen to the song, you'll go, yeah, he wasn't trying. I could write that song. I mean, it's cool. I just kind of look at it like it's a picture, and that's where I was at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
very, very cool. So you've got some new work coming out, a new EP, and some other things. Give everybody a rundown of what's coming up next for Jon Christopher Davis.
I have been living in the studio for the last 2 years, and just trying to get better at my craft, and surrounding myself by people who know more than I do, and just being very diligent about the work. And so I've been living in the studio for 2 years, just cooking.
Love it.
That's no good. Try it again. and you come up with the right songs and the right production, and so I do. After 2, it sounds silly. An EP, is half a record,
right?
But it took me 2 years to make half a record because I think I'm just getting better at it, which means I'm going to be pickier.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay, I got to let go of this thing sometime or another. Otherwise, it's going to eat me alive because I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So I'm purposely like pulling myself out of the ring. Stop. Enough. You're going to drive yourself crazy, and more importantly, you're going to drive your wife even crazier. So I'm going to put that out next month, and we'll see what that does. And then I'm working on, I'm in a new band with one of my childhood heroes, a guy named Stan Lynch from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He's the guy, drummer, played on the hits, and
Very cool.
And Stan went on to produce Don Henley, and we've been working together off and on for like 19 years. And then about a year ago, we said, "What are we doing? Let's just be a band, and do this thing because the recordings and the songs is like they don't sound like a JCD record. They don't. It's a different dynamic, and so it's going to be kind of like the Black Keys of Americana music. It's pretty rocking, and it's a lot of fun to not only work with your hero, but you're talking about a guy. I mean, dude, Tom Petty, Don Henley, Bob Dylan, Aretha Franklin. This is like working with this guy's got his PhD in rock and roll, and I just get to be the lucky guy. Are you kidding me? And that's kind of a God thing too, or whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, whatever that is. My two biggest influences, arguably, are Tom Petty and Don Henley, and I get stuck right in the middle. There's a guy named Stan Lynch, right there. Was Tom Petty drummer, Don Henley's producer. You can't make that up.
That's so cool.
You can't make it up. It was meant to be. And
it's huge.
And it's a big thrill for me to see him. The last hit he had as a drummer was "Last Dance with Mary Jane."
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is really, and he still plays his hiney off. He's such a great drummer. And it's a big thrill for me to see him like stepping back into the spotlight. Like, this is pretty cool. He's a rock and roll Hall of Famer. So it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that band's called the Speaker Wars.
Okay.
And that we're 9 cuts into the album now. So one more song, and the album will be done, and we'll release it to the universe and see where it takes us.
I love that. Very, very cool. Well, congratulations, man. That's huge.
Thank you.
So we're about to get into a live performance here in the booth. So don't go anywhere, but we got one more question. We always ask this: write to or duet. If you could pick 3 artists, famous, not famous, alive, not alive, one to write with, one to tour with, and one to duet with, who would they be?
To write with, Tom Petty. To tour with, that's a tough one, man. It may be Tom Petty. If I had a whole lot of talent, I'd be like, how fun would it be to go on the road with James Brown? Back then?
Yeah.
That cat. That's some serious stuff, man.
Yeah.
Or Otis Redding, the soul singers.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke, Johnny Cash. That would have been a trip.
That would have been.
So I'll say I like to write with Tom Petty. I like to tour with Johnny Cash. And what was the third one? A duet?
Duet, yeah.
Male or female?
Yeah.
I'd like to do a duet with another childhood influence who's no longer here, but he co-founded the Eagles. His name was Glenn Frey. Big influence on me. Yeah. That'd be cool. I'd like to do a duet with Glenn.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. So there you go. That's kind of the Mount Rushmore right there.
That's good.
Tom Petty, Johnny Cash, Glenn Frey. That's pretty good stuff.
That's a pretty good list.
Good company right there.
I like that. Well, guys, like we said, don't go anywhere. We are about to have JCD live here in the booth. Do not go anywhere. Wherever you're listening or watching, just stick around. We're going to be right back, and we're going to get a live one from the man himself. Thanks for being here at DentonRadio.com. Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.